Okay, 1.3, again, a lot of this is review from Algebra 1. We're going to learn how to solve equations in this section. And there's one other thing, there's two parts for today, and the second part is how to rearrange formulas in algebra. So the first part, you're going to solve each equation, and you don't really have to check your answers. You can just check your answers by coming up to the front of the class to see if you did these right. So the first one, I like having the variable on the left side. You don't have to do this, but I like rewriting the problem and having the variable on the left hand side. In algebra, you can either solve this two different ways. You need to get n alone. You can either divide both sides by 2/3. You can either do that, and then they'll cancel each other out. I don't divide by a negative 2/3. What I do is multiply by the reciprocal of 2/3. The reciprocal of 2/3 is 3/2. All I did was I changed the numerator into the denominator and the denominator into the numerator. It's called the reciprocal. And whatever you do to one side of your equation, you have to do to the other side of your equation. By multiplying by the reciprocal, the 2 and the 3's cancel out, and you only have an n left. And if you don't know what 18 times 3/2 is, you can use your calculator, but I want you to show your work, at least this part, and you're going to end up getting 27. Okay, the next one, a negative 11 equals 3a. I can put the negative 4 plus 5 together to make plus 1. I'm just going to show you, you don't have to have the variable on the left-hand side in number 2. I'm just going to leave the variable on the right-hand side. In order to get rid of the plus 1, I'm going to subtract 1 to both sides. I know some of you do it a little bit different, and Miss Medvick or whoever you had, Mr. Kohako for Algebra 1. You're going to have a 3a left on the right-hand side. You're going to have a negative 12 left on the left-hand side. How do you get rid of the 3 next to the a by dividing by 3? I'm running out of room, but a is equal to a negative 12 divided by 3 is a negative 4. Okay, the next couple ones, 4a plus 2b equals a negative 36. The first thing I'm going to do is put like terms together. I think there's a mistake here. This was supposed to have been an a, not a b. Sorry, you guys. So let's change it to 4a plus 2a. I see a little error right there. But 4a plus 2a, it wasn't supposed to be a b. It was supposed to be an a. 4a plus 2a is 6a's equals a negative 36. Divide both sides by 6. A equals a negative 6. Final answer. The next one, I'll leave the 53 a 53. Again, your distance learners, if I'm going too fast, you can always shut it off. I'd like you to take notes just like the kids in the classroom are taking notes, but it's up to you. But I would like you to take notes and follow along with my notes. It'll help when it becomes more difficult. 3 times y is 3y. 3 times a negative 2 is a negative 6. I'm going to do the distributive property again. A negative 2 times 3y is a negative 6y. And now be very careful with this next one. A negative 2 times a negative 1. A negative 2 times a negative 1 equals a positive 2. Be careful with that. That's what gets kids in math, is those negatives and positive signs. If you go too fast and you make a mistake, it could change everything in the problem. The older you get, like I teach calculus, a lot of times in calculus, they get something wrong because of the little positives and negative signs. So be careful and go slow. What I'm going to do now is leave the 53, 3y and negative 6y are similar terms or like terms, which makes a negative 3y. A negative 6 plus a positive 2 makes a negative 4. I'm going to add 4 to both sides in order to get the negative 3y alone. And I'm going to get 57 equals a negative 3y. And then you're going to divide both sides by a negative 3. And that goes in there. You can use your calculator, or some of you know that 57 divided by a negative 3 is a negative 19. Okay, we have a couple more pages. We have another one here. Four times x is 4x. 4 times a negative 2 is a negative 8, plus 3 equals 4 minus 3x plus 12. 4x negative 5, because I put these two together to make a negative 5, and a negative 3x plus 16, I put the 4 and the 12 together to make 16. The next thing I'm going to do is add 3x to both sides, so I can put my like terms together on one side, so I get 7x minus 5 equals 16. I add 5 to both sides, 7x equals 21, and divide both sides by 7, x equals 3 for number 5. The last part is to rearrange formulas, like the surface area of a cone in geometry. There was a formula for the surface area of a cone, and this is the formula, so I'm just going to rewrite it. S is equal to pi times the radius times the length, that stands for the length, plus pi times the radius squared. That's how you figure out the surface area of a cone. But instead of solving for S is alone, they want you to rearrange this formula and solve for the letter L. So how do you solve for the letter L? What you're going to do is do exactly what we did. For example, I just want to give you like a 2x minus 4 equals 6, something like this. And with numbers, you can do the same thing with letters. The first thing you're going to do is add 4 to both sides, correct, in order to get the x alone. And then you divide by 2, and you do the same thing here. Here you have the L, here you don't have an L. So the first thing you're going to do is subtract pi r squared to both sides. So you have s minus pi r squared equals pi r L. Everybody see what I did? I subtracted pi r squared to both sides. And I want you to solve for L. How do you get L alone? Just like this over here, we solve for x. How did you get x alone? By dividing by 2. How do you get L alone? Divide both sides by pi r. This goes away, and right there, I got L alone. You can rearrange formulas depending on what they ask you for, and this is really important in higher level math classes, to rearrange your formulas for the letter or variable that they ask you to solve for. The next one is a formula for the area of a trapezoid. This is the formula for the trapezoid. The area of a trapezoid is 1/2 the height, and then you're going to add your base 1 plus your base 2. Notice that the A, or the area, is alone in this problem. As you get older, they're not going to ask you to solve for A. They want you to solve for the letter B sub 2. So I'm just going to rewrite the problem over again. You don't have to, but. So the first thing I'm gonna do is get rid of the 1/2 h, because I'm trying to get this alone. So I'm gonna divide both sides of my problem by 1/2 h. And by doing that, this goes away on the right-hand side, and I'm left with b sub 1 plus b sub 2. All I did was divide both sides by 1/2 of an h. Now I'm still trying to get b2 alone, and how do I get b2 alone? Is I subtract b1, so it's a divided by 1/2 h minus b1 equals b2. We are not gonna do the page number. Instead today, we're gonna do a worksheet.